could you share the details of housing announcement that you made today for Brampton? And do you think it is enough to address the housing crisis? The relationship with India has hit an all-time low with 41 Canadian diplomats now leaving India. Are you in touch with Prime Minister Modi to resolve this diplomatic conflict?
It's a really, really bad decision by the Indian government. So we're going to continue.
ਰੈਡ ਐਫਐਮ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ तमाम ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਿੱਘੀ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਹਾਊਸਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਚੁਣੌਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੂਝ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਲਈ $114 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦੀ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਇੱਕ ਦਹਾਕੇ ਦੌਰਾਨ 24,000 ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਿਰਮਾਣ ਲਈ ਵਰਤੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਬਾਬਤ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਆਓ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। Prime Minister Trudeau, welcome to Red FM.
It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you very much, Jatinder.
So, could you share the details of housing announcement that you made today for Brampton? And do you think it is enough to address the housing crisis?
Oh, well, listen, I know the housing crisis is real right across the country, and so many families are struggling, and so many young people are wondering whether they're going to be able to find a home for themselves and build a family themselves. That's why we've had to act. And the federal government can and has done a lot of things directly, like removing the GST on construction of new apartment buildings, on helping with new federal land, on moving forward with a savings account that's going to help people save up for a home. But the federal government isn't the only one that can act on housing, and that's why we put together a $4 billion housing accelerator that is working directly with municipalities who want to change the way housing is built in their municipalities. And I have to say, Brampton has stepped up in a big way. They're changing zoning so you can have 4 properties on a single lot. They're changing 4-story buildings as a right across the city. This is going to build thousands and thousands and thousands of new homes in the coming years. And it's part of how we solve this. This is about different orders of government working together hand in hand to make investments that are going to build a better future for people in Brampton, but also people right across the country as municipal councils, as mayors step up and do things they've never done before to build more housing.
So my next question is, the polls are not favoring you at this time as a leader of Liberal Party and as the Prime Minister. Canadians seems to want a change. How is the morale of the party? And how do you plan to reverse it?
Well, first of all, Canadians want a change right now because they're in a very difficult situation. Inflation is up. Food prices are a challenge. Everything seems difficult in the world right now. I totally understand why Canadians are frustrated and angry. It's very, very difficult right now. But what we're doing as a government is focusing on solving that, on solving these challenges, whether it's with $10 a day childcare, whether it's with a housing accelerator that's going to get more homes built in communities right across the country to relieve the housing crisis, whether it's things like dental care for seniors and young children. These are the kinds of things that make a huge difference in people's lives, and they're all things that conservatives would cut. So we're going to continue to focus not on politics, but on delivering for people the things that are actually going to help them in this difficult time. And that's the work I have to do, and that's what we're continuing to focus on.
And how is the morale of the party, sir?
The morale is good. We know, because we hear every day from citizens in our communities that people are struggling. But we also know that the solutions we're bringing forward, like the Canada Child Benefit, that is actually sending out its checks today to millions of families across the country with hundreds of dollars tax-free every month for families that need it. That's making a huge difference. Conservative campaigned against that. The delivery of the climate support, the climate action incentive that gets delivered to households across the country in provinces that have the price on pollution, that's making a difference too. That's money that the Conservatives would take away. So people in the party are focused on delivering for Canadians in a difficult time, and that really pulls us together, and we're focused and optimistic like Canadians should be.
Okay. The relationship with India has hit an all-time low with 41 Canadian diplomats now leaving India. Are you in touch with Prime Minister Modi to resolve this diplomatic conflict?
I have been, and my government has been in touch with the Indian government since the month of August to talk about this very, very serious situation. We don't want to be in this situation. We're trying to build and improve our ties with India, but my role as Canadian Prime Minister is to protect Canadians and to stand up for our democracy and our democratic values. And that's why I needed to share these serious allegations in public with Canadian Parliament and with all Canadians. But at the same time, and even in the weeks before, we were reaching out to the Modi government to try and get them to work with us, to take this seriously, to try and resolve, to find out exactly what happened, to launch an investigation. And they chose to do none of that. We have been thoughtful and reasonable and clear, and trying to work constructively on this very serious issue. They have done nothing but attack Canada and undermine Canada's credibility, and we have not responded with escalation. But what they did this week was very, very serious. They simply announced that over 40 Canadian diplomats will no longer have diplomatic protection. That's something that countries aren't supposed to do. You're not supposed to just say, we would never do this even to Russian or Iranian or enemy country diplomats, where you simply say, nope, you no longer have protections. That's a serious violation of diplomatic protocols and of the Vienna Convention. So for India to react this way is really, really problematic, because it is worrisome to countries around the world that they are so violating the principles of diplomacy. But the other thing that's a really big problem is this is going to hurt Indo-Canadians, and it's going to hurt people in India who travel back and forth between Canada and India, who want to come here to study, want to come here for a wedding or, unfortunately, a funeral, want to create strong business ties or go visit family back home. This is hurting Indo-Canadian communities, and it's a really, really bad decision by the Indian government. So we're going to continue to stand up for Canadian interests. We're going to stand up for our democracy and our rule of law, but we are also going to try and be reasonable in the way we engage with India, because even if they're not being reasonable with us, we have values and principles that we stand by.
So, Prime Minister Trudeau, thank you so much for joining us today.
A real pleasure to talk to you, Jatinder. It's always great to be on Red FM.
ਸੋ ਦੋਸਤੋ, ਇਹ ਸਨ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ, ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ। ਰੈਡ FM ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਜਤਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਤਤਗਿਰ, ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।